Hello, guys. This is Coach with the seventh episode of Coach's Corner. Uh, we've been gone on a baseball trip with a company called J. Buckley Baseball. We visited the East Coast. There was 7 games that we saw. We got to see Yankee Stadium on September 11th, which was very iconic, uh, very surreal to see that. We did also go to the 9/11 site, which was very humbling and it kind of brings back anger to you a little bit. We got to see the Yankees versus the Red Sox at Fenway 4 days later on Sunday night, ESPN baseball. It was an amazing atmosphere, but it was a very enjoyable trip. We spent a lot of time on the bus, so I spent a lot of time on the bus doing some of the data that I'm going to present. And what I decided to do was a podcast on a little bit of my history of playing. Uh, September 14th, I completed 5 years of what I call my second career as a full time AP. Let me turn back the clock to mid September of 2020. Obviously, since got the name coach, I've been an educator my whole life. I even returned to in service at school that year. I saw that we went to the district meeting for the secondary teachers, and out of about 100 of us, there was 3 of us wearing masks, and I just felt uncomfortable with COVID. I went and talked to my doctor, and he said, "Yeah, if you can pull it off, you could go ahead and retire." Uh, I went down to Arkansas Retirement, filled out my paperwork. When I was driving back, Arkansas Virtual School called me and asked me if I wanted to teach math with them. I signed up for the position. I did about 3 weeks of training, and then I got an email on a Friday, and it showed the list of in service over the next couple of months, and it was probably about 120 hours of in service. To me, the bane of my existence as a teacher was in service. We were required to do 60 hours every summer. I saw it in service and I said, I don't want to do this. So I had a quick chat with my wife that morning. I said, "Are you okay if I just go ahead and retire? And can I try playing the casinos full time for a while?" She said, "That was fine." She said, "Go ahead and give it a try." So, thus, at that point, I started my AP career. Uh, I can't remember the exact date. I had to go back and look at my writings and stuff. I think it's around September 15th or so of 2020. What I did when I started that, I decided I've always kept spreadsheets of all my data, but what I decided to do is write what you would call either a diary, a blog, and what I do, I type it up. Uh, I've kept a weekly diary since then, or a blog, or whatever you want to call it. I include my activities during the week. I include what I call slot porn. Any winnings that I've had of over $200 or more, I've put in as pictures there, and also included the stuff that my wife and I have done. Like for example, taking her parents to the casino or the doctors or whatever. So oftentimes my wife will say, "When did mom break her hip?" I can go back in my writings and look and tell her the exact day and when she got out of rehab or whatever. So it's kind of been a nice history. I did it for a couple reasons. I figured I'm 64 and my wife's 59. I'm a male. I probably will leave this earth before she will. So she'll have something to look back upon on days that she's bored and she can look through it and see some of the things that we've done. Also, secondly, I just wanted to do something mentally to make sure and keep my mind active. I want to. My theory is the more active your mind is, the more you can avoid the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that as you get older. So I want to do something to occupy my mind on a daily basis. Oftentimes, I still put entries even if we're not going to a casino on a day, which is few and far between. But uh, I still put entries just so we can look back upon those. So here we go. I hope this doesn't sound too boring because there's gonna be a lot of statistics, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm bragging either. I'm just quoting the numbers. So, as a result of this, I started September 15th. So when I'm referring to year one, that's September of 2020 to mid September of 2021. I know I also on my spreadsheets, I go by the calendar year. But as far as I call my post retirement income or post retirement job, I go from mid September to mid September. So that covers the years when I exactly retired. So knowing all that, let's jump into some of the numbers here. Okay. Very first year, which is again from September 2020 to September 2021, I finished that full year winning $110,834. That year, I went back when we was traveling, and I was doing some other research for this, And I was reading where oftentimes I wouldn't start my gambling week till Wednesday. They had senior days at the Choctaw Casino. I spend Monday and Tuesday home, and then I take off Wednesday and usually spend 5 days or so, the other 5 days of the week gambling. Year two, I won $161,900. I win a little bit more often. That was what I'd probably call the golden days, the good old days. There weren't near as many APs. There was a lot of great games that eventually were removed from the casino, and it may be almost impossible to ever meet that year again. And I'll show more why later on. Year three, I won $136,607. Year four, I won $142,317. And then this past year, which ended 9 days ago, I finished the year up $154,754. During the 5 year span, I've won $706,412. That's a 5 year average of $141,282, which is real close to year four's total. Uh, by comparison, that's pretty well doubled what I made per year my last 4 years in education when I was the basketball coach for the school I was at. I was getting paid to be dean of students. I was also getting paid to drive a bus route up and back to school every day. So I was basically doubling what I was making as an educator over the last 5 years. I keep my weekly totals, of course, as part of my spreadsheets. I've had 245 winning weeks and 15 losing weeks during this time. So the losing weeks have not been that common, thankfully. My biggest losing week during the whole period was I lost $1,852 in May of 2022. Uh, I've had two other losing weeks over $1,000. A lot of my losing weeks are something like negative $110. My best week was a week that I won $13,062 in May of 2023. I won $12,432 the first week of March this year. I've had two other weeks over $10,000 in winnings. I've had one week. uh, I've had 1 week starting the day after Christmas in 2022 when I won $9,113. So that's my fourth best week ever. My next best 6 weeks are all in the 7,000s. I've had 9 weeks in the 6,000s and 10 weeks in the 5,000s during these 5 years. I finished with 28 weeks in the 4,000s, and it was around 4,500, which was my take home when I was working as a teacher for a whole month. So I've had a lot of weeks that have been a lot more than what I took home as a worker. I also keep monthly. I've kept monthly records since 2002. So I've done spreadsheets. Some of my spreadsheets have been lost. So from 2002 to 2009, the jump drive died, and those spreadsheets are gone. But anyways, somehow through the years, the monthly spreadsheet has survived from one jump drive to another. Uh, my best month during this whole time was February of 2024 when I won $23,042 in the month. You know, when you compare that to $4,500 that you're taking home, that's considerably a lot more. And blessing. I won $21,685 in July of 2021. And then my third best month was March of 2025 this year when I won $20,514. My other month above 20K was October of last year when I won $20,042. So I've had 4 months where I've enjoyed wins of $20,000 or more. I've had 8 months with wins above 15,000, and I've enjoyed a total of 24 more months where my winnings were between 10,000 and 14,999. I've been above 10,000 in 36 of the 60 months over the last 5 years, which is a little bit over 50%. So it's been a fantastic run as far as that goes. My worst month during this whole time period was August of 2021 when I won $3,122. And of course, that was early on that lower year. My next three lowest months were all in 2020 when I was just starting, when I had months of $3,643 and then $3,884 in the month of November. And the exact same amount the very first month after retirement winnings was $3,884. In other words, uh, November and September of 2020, I won $3,884 both those months, which was, I guess, my third and fourth or third and third tied worst months ever. I've averaged winning $11,773 a month over the last 5 years. That is also an average of $2,716 a week. So that's basically been my totals over the last 5 years. What that has done for us has put us in a comfort level at our older age. We don't have to, knock on wood, at this point in our lives, we don't have to worry about finances. We don't have to worry about, how we're going to pay the bills. Uh, the nice thing, this is on top of a pension that I get from being a teacher, and I've opted just a few months ago to start drawing Social Security. Those alone would bring me in around 62,000 a year. So this is obviously created for us a comfort zone, which we really like. And there's so many other added things that come from the casinos too. I mean, all the free food, uh, gifts. There's so many other things that you could add to the bottom line if you wanted to. Uh, this is what took me a lot of research. I decided to do an earn rate per year, or earn rate per day. Actually, I titled it earn rate per year, but it's actually earn rate per day. And I went back and I had to do a lot of tallying and stuff. And I did that while I was riding on the bus on the baseball trip. But I wanted to see, like, how often were we at the casino, and what was I making per day. And so year one, again, which is September 2020 to September 2021, I was at a casino 253 days. That's where I won the $110,835 for the year. I averaged a win of $438.08 a day during that first year. The golden year, year two, which is September 21 to September 22, I was in a casino 289 days and won $161,900. I averaged $560.21 a day. And so I kind of laugh about that number because I think it was probably around 2019, 2018. I can't remember what class I had, but it was probably a health class. It was, the kids were working on something. I got bored. So what I started doing over my dead times, or during my planning period, if I had anything else to do during that time, I would go back through my totals uh, prior to that. And anytime I had a day where I won $500 or more, I wrote a little synopsis about that day. I think at that point around 2019, I had about 18 entries where I'd won $5,000 or more. I'm sorry, $500 or more. And I remember to that day, my biggest day was, I think, I won $3,600, where the Cherokee Casino at Roland, they were closing their poker room. They had a free roll if you earned enough hours for it, and we chopped it. It was like $60,000 pot, and we chopped it between 18 of us or 17 of us, whatever, something like that. And that was my biggest day between them. But my days where I won $500 at the casino more were anywhere from, I think it was from 16 to 20. If I could find that Word document where I did that, I could see. But so it's kind of ironic that in the second year after retirement, I was averaging that over that $500 on a daily basis. Okay, rolled to year three. I spent 274 days at the casino, which is about 15 days less than the prior year. I won $136,607. I averaged $498.57 a day. Year four saw an uptick in days. 286 days at the casino, and I won $142,317. I averaged 297.61. So even though I was in the casino a little bit more in year four, I still averaged a little bit less than year three. This past year, I was actually in the casino 312 days, which is a huge percentage of the year. Uh, I won $154,754. I averaged 496.01 a day. So the last 3 years, my daily average has been within $3.56 of each other. It's ranged from 498.57 to 496.01. So it's been really consistent, which is really surprising. Um, you know, Other APs have talked about, and I'm talking about mainly slot play. I I have earned maybe just a little bit of that playing blackjack, but I mean, I'd say the percentage is less than 1% that I've earned playing blackjack. So it's basically been slots or video poker or table poker where I've earned one on each of these years. Uh, in fact, I meant to do a percentage of each one of those over the 5 year period, but that skipped me remembering to do all that in preparation for this. So If I was counting cards and going a lot of places, that probably could have been more of a daily rate. But I'm pleased with how consistent it's been over those years. If you total all 4 years, I've been in the casino 1,414 days in the last 5 years. Basically, live in the casino in a lot of ways. So it's definitely a full time job if you consider it a job, but it's fun still to me. It's not a job to me. Again, I've won that same $706,412, and I've averaged over the 5 years $499.58 a day over the whole 5 years. So I'm averaging almost $500 a day over the last 5 years that I've been able to play as a full time gambler. I have one more stat that I just kind of wanted to present. How much was I in the casino? And I'm glad my wife's not here to hear this part of it. But year one, I was in a casino for 253 days, or 69.3% of the year. I stayed overnight in the casino for 54 nights, 14.8% of the nights of the year, and I was on the cruise ship for 7 days. That one cruise was our first trip to Alaska in August of 2021. As they just opened the cruise ships, 30% capacity. Very nice cruise. You had a place to kind of ship to yourself. Year two, played in a casino 289 days, or 79.2% of the year. I stayed in the casino 98 nights at 26.8% of the year. So I spent a quarter of the year and not at the casinos. I also spent 13 of those days on a cruise ship. So I was right around 30% of my nights were spent away from home at a casino and or on a cruise ship. Now, a lot of these, of course, obviously are with my wife too. Uh, and the nice thing is, I look back through a lot of my notes. Virtually every one of these rooms have been free, which is really nice. Initially, I think in year one, I paid for a couple of nights. We went to a couple places where I hadn't been in a while, and I think we had to play like in Biloxi. We had to pay for a couple of nights of the rooms for a couple of nights. Year three, played in a casino 274 days, or 75% of the year. I stayed in a casino for 84 nights, or 23% of the year. I was on a cruise ship actually 24 days. Uh, Also, just as an added note, I'm when I'm on a cruise ship for 24 days, I'm probably playing the casino 23 of those. The last day that you get up in the morning, that would be the only day I'm not playing the casino on the cruise ship. Day four, I played in the casino for 286 days, or 48.4% of the year. I stayed in the casino for 142 nights, or 38.9% of the year, and I was on a cruise ship for 27 nights. So over 40% of my nights were spent either in the casino or on the cruise ship that year. Finally, last year, I was in a casino for 312 days, or 85.5% of the year. So I'm definitely say I lived in a casino this past September of 2024 to September of 2025. I was definitely living in a casino. Uh, a lot of difference for that is we bought a house in Fort Smith, and the casino is just 15 minutes from where we live. We haven't completely moved there, but if we're over in that area, it's just we can hop by the casino for 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, to make a round through and then leave. I stayed in a casino overnight, 159 nights, or 43.6% of the year. I was on a cruise ship for 33 nights, so that almost puts me over 50% away from being home. I spent a lot of that time taking my father-in-law to different places because he just really enjoyed it until we moved him into his retirement home on April 1st. So a lot of that time was spent just taking him on trips and everything. So, but anyways, that was just some of the data I wanted to cover because it's kind of been a benchmark for me. It's been 5 years since I really started this. When I initially started, we kind of wondered where we have I was drawing my retirement. Uh, Once I got my paperwork back into the Arkansas retirement, I was able to start drawing my retirement. At that point, my retirement was, I think, around 40,000, or a little about 39,000. So we had to figure out, were we going to, go from 72,000 on my end to 39,000? Were we going to, where were the bills going to be paid? Luckily, the casinos were able to answer that question, and like I said, it's been a wonderful experience as far as from a financial standpoint, and it's been a fun experience because uh, I'm my own boss, except for my wife. I guess she technically is my boss, but I don't have to answer anybody other than her, and so it's been nice from that standpoint as well too. Uh, Again. just my disclosure or my disclaimer. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I just wanted to state the facts. I'm sure there's several of you folks out there done a lot better, and that's fantastic. All the power to you if you do your research and are able to as NWA says, extract that extra money out of casinos, because that's what we professionally can call ourselves, as money extractors. Uh, Again, that's probably all I'm going to cover for today. I'm going to cover some more of our recent trips here. We do have a cruise coming up on October 30th. I may cover some of that, or I'm just going to cover some of our casino experiences over the last month or so. Uh, One thing before I leave, though, I do say when we was on our baseball trip, we went to the Pittsburgh Stadium, which I thought was by far the prettiest stadium out of the whole. That we went to seven stadiums on the East Coast. The Pittsburgh Stadium has the skyline in the back, and it's just a gorgeous stadium. There was a casino called the Rivers Casino that was within walking distance from where our hotel was, and so we walked down there before the game. We had 3 hours to kill for the game. We walked down there and played a little. I didn't do well there, so that's one of the casinos I visited. When we went to see the Phillies in Philadelphia, just a hop, skip, and jump over from the stadium is the casino live. So we signed up for a card there. There was some one of my favorite games. There was two or three fantastic long term plays that would take me 3 or 4 hours. Of course, we the bus arrived about 2 hours before the game started, so we didn't, or maybe an hour and a half actually. So we didn't have time to play those plays. But I really liked that casino. And then when we went to Baltimore we actually spent 2 nights in Baltimore, and the night before we checked in our hotel, we went and watched a game at the Nationals field in Washington. We went by the Capitol building and went by a few other things. Now I'm going to embarrass myself here in public, but we went to the Capitol building, and I was commenting about, I wonder if Trump's there, and then I said, in the movies there's a little gate in front of the Capitol building, and all this time I was thinking that this is the White House. And oh, I caught harassment back when we got back in the bus, and I said something about, I was wondering if Trump was there and stuff. So it just didn't register with me as one of those senior moments, I guess. But anyways, we went to the Nationals game, and then we went to the hotel and spent the night in Baltimore for 2 nights. The next day, we actually had to ourselves, so we walked down to the Horseshoe Casino, which was fairly close to downtown. There, it's close to the baseball. It's even closer to where the Ravens play, and we played there for quite a while. Again, I think I ended up $300 down there. I didn't have a positive results, but I enjoyed the casino. It was nice. It had the feel of a lot of casinos around this area. Again, the nicest out of the three was the Live Casino in Philadelphia. It's a very nice casino. My wife really liked it. But anyway, so we were able to uh, enjoy three casinos that we never had been to in two states that we never had played in. So, also on top of that, my wife got her first jackpot ever from the state of Maryland, so she paid Maryland taxes. I think through the years we've paid taxes in Mississippi, Louisiana, of course Arkansas, Oklahoma, obviously, California, of course Las Vegas, and so we've paid taxes in all the states I think of off the top of my head, or had a W-2G in those states. And my wife hit one right before we was getting ready to leave there at the place in Baltimore at the Horseshoe, and actually that was enough to pull her out of the hole and give her a positive day. She won like $1,240, and I think that put her $116 ahead for the day. So she was struggling up until the end. But anyways, I'll have some more stories about some of our trips coming up on my next episode. But I figured once again this was a big benchmark for me. One other benchmark I'm approaching, I'll mention ahead of time. I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm fastly closing in. I think I'm $280 away today, which I'm recording this on September 24th. $284 away from hitting $750,000 in lifetime winnings at the casino. So three quarters of $1 million mark. I've told my wife I don't want to retire from my second job until I'm able to reach the $1 million mark if I can. So hopefully I can reach that at some point. And and hopefully the success continues on. It's an ever-changing environment. You got to adapt to new machines. You got to adapt to some of your favorites going out and seeing if there's other games that you can exploit and make money on. So it is a constant battle, and it's ever changing battlefield. So uh, continue to study and keep up on those things. So, anyways, this is Coach for now. Hope everybody hits a lot of jackpots. Hope everybody hits a lot of W2Gs between now and then. Again, my email is fremontfreebies@gmail.com. And until next time, see ya.